this video, we're going to be understanding how practical posture should be done so that you are stressless in your daily life. So yoga being this organized approach in which we starting to move in a direction that we are more and more getting this control of any thought process, any mind disturbance. So now how that organized approach, called practical approach, can lead us to be stressless, and try to see that in how we actually express practical postures. And in practical postures, we have this concept of uniformity of movement, which basically is, without entering too much details, how can we make in the same velocity? Now, what is the root cause of stress? So let's try to understand that first, because it's a big topic, but we can try to understand certain elements. So stress, it will come because there is an expectation of a future state, and as we are in the moment, there is a gap. And as much as this gap is not closed, and expectation is not fulfilled, what will bring? It will bring a certain resistance to what's happening, or it will create what we can call resistance or stress. So how can we understand that link between moving the same velocity and that future orientation of the mind? So if you see, when you're making the equal velocity, what is happening that you need to be aware? Because thousands of things are going to be changing, imbalances, weight, gravity. So as much as you are aligning with the happening to be in a dimension of harmony and sameness, then your mind is not in a future orientation, it's aligning with what is. Another point about stress, so what actually happens is that awareness gets restricted for a certain outcome. So we have an expectation and we have already awareness one pointed towards the fulfillment to this certain outcome. Then what we bring in the uniformity of movement, we are having the full body awareness. Even though we're just maybe moving one part, because just if you're in sun salutation, maybe just needed to rise up your hands in the Namaskar. But if it's properly understood, this concept, you know that you have to have awareness of your legs, of your hips, of your belly, of your neck. Even though the parts that are not moving, they are also involved in this process. So what happens is, the mind, which has the tendency to identify with particularities, with changes, with this and that, it starts to become with more and more extended expression. And if you see what is postures, in the classical term of Hatha Yoga or Kriya Yoga, it's about bringing the non-dual state. So from that, we are more and more bringing stability, we are more and more bringing stillness. Even in meditation, we are still, pranayama and more still. So we are less under, let's say, the circumstances in which stress arises in our daily functioning. So now, if we are constantly moving, what has actually happened? It's giving us this platform to be with what is in this happening of changing, because as long as we are changing, there is movement, there is change, there is growth. Mind gets more and more towards the sense perception orientation. So it gives us that possibility to create this bridge between existential expression and daily functioning. And one more concept, which is a little bit more deeper, but we can also analyze in more detail, is every stress or every situation in which affects our self-expression is always an influence from the outside. So something we want to be fulfilled, something in which we have some kind of surge. So from outside, through sensors, comes to us and makes some variation in our minds. Now, one of the big programs we are all submitted the whole time is under the influence of gravity. So physical laws, the gravity, the pressure, they are all the time constantly affecting our physical body, our energy body, and if they affect our physical body, depends on our relationship, it affects the mind. So as we are moving towards equal velocity, so let's say you're stepping back and at some point, or you're going from Paravatasana, which is a better example, to 8 limbs, at some point you're gonna feel that you started to get submitted, you started to feel heavy. In that moment, it will start to make a change. So how can we move towards changeless to bring lightness that will start to make more and more less influence from nature, which is the root cause of any other influences. So from these 4 points, we can maybe just reflect upon mind, which takes a future position orientation, how to build this opportunity to establish more an unaffected state as your daily functioning, awareness that's not focus but all-inclusive, and how to move out from the influence of nature itself. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you feel to share, like, feel free, and I'll see you in the next moments.